Hello, and welcome to another very special episode of Kludgecast. I'm Matt, and I'm here with my good friend and project car, BMW Z3 Roadster. The time has come to take care of some very important maintenance items on this car, and that might seem a little boring, but I promise you I have some interesting things in store. Now, like every normal tune-up on a BMW, I'm going to be replacing the fuel filter, the air filter, and the spark plugs. But I'll also be flashing the engine computer with a new tune to unlock some performance. Then I'm putting the car on a dyno to see what it puts out. Now I've got a lot to get done in this car, so I'm going to dig right into it. First step of changing out the fuel filter is to actually starve the engine for fuel. The fuel pump is actually located in the fuel tank, and we basically want to drain that line from the fuel pump all that way to the fuel filter. And the way to do that is to open up your fuse box here and read your little diagram for fuel pump, which our fuse is 13 and 18. If you take those fuses out, then the fuel pump will, cease to work, and that will drain the line in quick order. So I need 13 and 18. This is fuse 11, 12, 13. It's this 5 amp fuse here. Now I need fuse 18, so that's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. It's this, for me, it's this blue one right here. These are the little tweezers that come on the underside of your fuse box. Simple as that. Alright, so now I've got to turn the motor on and just wait till it dies, which should be pretty quickly. Alright. These go in. Turn the radio off, and let's try to start this puppy. Nothing doing. So I think we are drained in that fuel line. All right, so we are under the car, obviously, and this is the panel that covers the fuel filter and protects it. And we need to first take this off. This uses 10mm bolts, pretty standard. Okay, so now that the cover to the fuel filter is off and the bracket is gone as well, time for a little close-up of what's actually going on here. So yeah, this canister is the fuel filter. You can see that there's an arrow, and this is pointed in the direction of the motor, right? So this line goes back to the fuel tank and the fuel pump. The rest goes to the motor, where it is consumed in combustion. So it should be pretty simple from here because there's only two connections. There's one here at the point where it connects to the tank, and then also at the other end there's just this one line that goes to the engine. So yeah, it looks like a piece of cake, but I do anticipate some fuel coming out of this, even though we drained the system by pulling the fuses to the fuel pump and kind of trying to crank it and until the fuel in the line ran dry, but that doesn't mean that it's totally dry. So we're going to kind of anticipate a small fuel spill and just expect that to happen. And if it doesn't, well, that's great too. Okay, so we've pulled the filter out, and as you see, it is draining basically from the engine side. So this isn't coming from the direction of the fuel tank, this is coming from the direction of the engine. I'm glad we had a pan here to capture all this, because this would be pretty messy otherwise. Again, this is fuel, so it is flammable. So, you know, use caution. While the fuel filters on these cars seem quite large, they still need to be replaced every 30,000 miles as part of a normal tune-up. This car was pushing 123,000 miles and seemed to be on its original filter, which meant it was overdue for a replacement. But it's not just a fuel filter you'll want to replace during a tune-up, but also the short rubber fuel hoses that feed into and out of the fuel filter as well. For those fuel hoses, I used the BMW factory hoses and cut those to size, using the old fuel hoses as a reference. Now for the filter, I used a Moly brand OEM fuel filter, and for convenience made sure to attach the new fuel hoses to the filter before I got back under the car and put it into position. If you're not replacing your fuel filter every 30,000 miles, you can starve your engine for fuel and create a lean combustion condition, which can rob power from your engine, increase engine temperatures, and even damage pistons and catalytic converters. So replacing the fuel filter is really an important part of the tune-up process. Now with the fuel filter taken care of, it was time to move on to the spark plugs. Now these days, spark plugs can last quite some time, perhaps even 100,000 miles for some platinum plugs, and perhaps up to 125,000 miles for iridium plugs. For my replacement plugs, I couldn't really find a good deal on iridium plugs, so I just went with Bosch platinum plugs, which is what the car came with from factory. Because these parts last so long, you don't really have to change them as part of a tune-up, but I say it's a good practice to change them out because reading the old plug can actually give an important indication of engine health. Another benefit of replacing your spark plugs more frequently than 100,000 miles is that there is a risk of a plug seizing up in the cylinder head if it's allowed to stay in there for enough time and for enough heat cycles. And in a worst case scenario, if you do get the plug out, it could damage the spark plug threads, which could require removing the head and taking it to a machinist if you're not equipped to repair the damage in your own garage. So, do change them out every 30,000 miles as part of a regular tune-up, and do use copper anti-seize on the spark plug threads. Just brush a light amount on the thread to provide a minimal barrier. You don't need to coat them. If you're new to wrenching, you may be surprised how often you use this stuff. The last step for the tune-up is replacing the air filter, which is very easy to access and replace, so there's really no excuse not to do this one. I didn't want to experiment with different kinds of filters, so I just stuck with the MAN air filter. It's the same brand I use for the oil filters on this car, and they're always of very good quality. I said that this wasn't going to be just a boring tune-up video, so to spice things up, I flashed the engine computer with a custom tune. This tune makes a number of changes, like richening the air-fuel mixture at lower engine loads, and raising the fuel cutoff to 7,000 RPM to eke out a little more power. But the thing I'm most excited about in this tune is the adjustment to the DISA valve. The DISA valve is part of the intake manifold on this M52 TU engine, and is used to direct air to longer or shorter paths to the engine. The DISA valve is shut off at lower RPMs to make the air travel a longer distance, which helps create power at lower RPMs, and at higher RPMs the valve will open up to allow that same air to travel a shorter distance to the intake port, which generates more power at the high end. From the factory, BMW programmed the engine to shut that DISA valve back up at 6,000 RPM. The downside to this is that there's more power to be found above 6,000 RPM if you just keep that valve open. And that's exactly what this tune does. And it could be the tuning decision that makes the most dramatic effect on our dyno charts. I'm not going into detail about the process of flashing the engine computer because it would just be footage of me hooking the laptop up to the car and navigating through a couple of screens, but I will say that the application I'm using on the laptop to flash the engine computer is called Galetto, and the file I flashed onto the DME was created by a talented electronics expert I met on a popular BMW forum who had helped me troubleshoot airbag issues on this car in the past. With all that being said, there's only one thing left to do, and that's take this car to the dyno. Okay, and now time for the moment of truth. I got my handy-dandy dyno chart from the Dynojet machine. Now, when I first ran this car on a dyno without all that tune-up stuff a couple episodes back, it put out at the wheels 147.05 horsepower. I mean, that seemed pretty good for a car inching up to 123,000 miles, but I am pleased to report some gains on that with the new engine flash, and also the maintenance items that we did on this car. So now it appears that on this car, at the wheels, we are producing 158.93 horsepower. So that is nearly 12 horsepower at the wheel from just a few maintenance things, spark plugs, fuel filter, air filter, and tune. And that's really about maybe 17 horsepower at the crank, so not a bad improvement. Some other things on this chart that I'm pretty proud of, or at least pretty happy with, is that dip between 5,500 RPM and 6,000 RPM. Well, that's gone now. That's no longer there thanks to the changes to the DISA tune on this car. And also this dyno chart shows the line going all the way out to 7,000 RPM. So the tech was able to get it all the way to 7,000 RPM, where before it shut off around 6,500 RPM. So the tech was able to wring a little more performance out of the car by virtue of just keeping the revs longer. So I'm very happy with this result for not a lot of work on the car. In the next episode, we are going to